Today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Friday, January 29th, 2016, and here are some of today's trends in the news. Well, let's start over there in Asia. Everything up, between 2.5% to 3%. In Europe, everything up, well over 2%. And here in the States, Dow up almost 400 points. Let's see why. Oh, and oil? Oil moved up too. Yeah, you remember a couple of weeks ago, it was, West Texas was around 26 and change, and crude over there was around $27 and change. Now, 33 and 34 bucks. Everything has changed. Let's see why. Well, last night, big story right here came out in the New York Times. Japan's Minister for Economic Growth resigns amid scandal. The chief architect of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's plan to resuscitate Japan, the world's third largest economy, resigned on Thursday after reports by a magazine that he had accepted money from the head of a construction firm in exchange for political favors. Why, how shocking. Yeah, it's like all over the world they do this, right? Big story. Under the Abe's regime over there, this is the fourth guy so far, fourth minister, to resign. And you know why? For misconduct. Yeah, stealing money and bribes is only misconduct. But when you do something wrong, you got to obey the letter of the law. We got misconducts, misdeeds. Look how they let the big frauds off. Oh, but I apologize. Oh, I apologize for getting caught. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't mean that. I mean, oh, how ashamed I am. You got any more dough? And they get away with this crap. But that changed like that, man. This story's out of the news. You know why? Abenomics didn't work. That's right, after 2 rounds, let's try negative interest rates. Yay! Steal from the people, give to more monetary meth, man. Hey, remember, go back. Mario Draghi, yeah, I promise you cats at Davos, man. More stimulus? Hey, more stimulus coming around the corner in a different way. Abenomics failed? Let's try more failure. Negative interest rates. And that's what boosted up the market. Yeah. Hey, you Japanese folks, you like Fukushima? Well, you got Fukushima again. That's right. You see your value declining, of your currency value declining, going to cost you to buy more. But obey the government. They know what's best for you. So there you got it. That's it. And they keep coming out with this line that we got to get that 2% inflation rate. Who made this story up? That inflation is good, deflation is bad. That wasn't like that in the old days when everything was level. That's better. Oh, don't you like it when prices go up and you earn less? They're making up this inflation story to rig the markets. Period, paragraph. U.S. stocks closed up more than 2% Friday, the last trading day of January after the Bank of Japan unexpectedly adopted negative interest rate policy for the first time. Negative interest rate policy. Who makes it? A bunch of central bank bandits. It is bankism. Capitalism is dead. No real market discovery, no price discovery, no supply and demand equations. It's all gone. You got a bunch of banksters running the show. Hey, it's one of your top trends for 2015. Last year, Nomi Prinz, that's right, did that great story. So Abenomics failed. Now they're talking about, quote, currency wars. Could you imagine if China did this? Negative interest rates, and now they're devaluing their currency, and they say they're going to export more. And again, they're not going to export that much more. because there's a global slowdown. Yes, it will help to some extent. But hey, Japan's our allies. Yeah, remember Pearl Harbor? Oh, you forgot that one. We got to defend them, I told you. Could you imagine if China did this? Oh, they sent out the Sixth Fleet. Okay. So now gold prices moved up a little bit. Gold had, good month. Good month. Looking, as everything else went down. By the way, even the Dow is down 5% after all of this big boost. NASDAQ is still down for the month. So, all these currency devaluations go back to your trend alert this past Wednesday. Market madness? Gold prices going up. Why? What's next? History before it happens. We said it would happen, it's happening. More monetary methadone for the money junkies. And the markets also went up on the good news. Of course, yesterday was durable good numbers. The worst numbers since 1992. That's right. Here. Right here. Boom. Wall Street Journal. Durable orders fall by most since recession. The annual decline in durable good orders is the largest outside a recession on record back to 1992. And you're looking at all the cuts. Boeing, one after another. And this shows you how sick the mentality's gotten in this country. I'm not making this up. One silver lining could be that the U.S. is no longer dependent on manufacturing to propel growth. The sector accounts for just 12% of total economic output. In 1997, the first year for which the government has gross domestic product data by industry, manufacturing accounted for 16.1% of the economy. Isn't it wonderful we don't have any manufacturing? It's a silver lining. That's right. Let's really be stupid and believe this stuff. It's a silver lining that we got to buy our stuff from foreign countries. Hey, Bill Clinton, great job you did. Whew. But there it is. Facts don't lie. And what else? Oh, the GDP numbers came out for the last quarter of last year, up a rousing 0.7%. That's another good reason for the Dow to go up almost 400 points. But there is a silver lining. Here it is. The major U.S. averages extended gains after the Chicago PMI showed 55.6 in January, topping expectations of 45.0 print and above December's 42.9 read. So we're on the road to recovery, folks. Yep. It's a rigged game. Caterpillar expects sales to keep falling. Their revenue fell by about a third compared to 4 years ago. And you take a look in the oil field. Baker Hughes tumbles to loss as rigs stop drilling. U.S. Oil Service Group that has agreed to a $2.6 billion takeover bid from its rival Halliburton, another merger, and you're going to see more of these, reported a $1.97 billion loss for 2015. The company has seen a 46% drop in the number of rigs drilling oil and gas wells worldwide since the fourth quarter of 2014, and they see another 30% drop. So now there's talk about Russia and Saudis cutting back on production. But it's only talk. And the more I read about it, there's nothing firm. And Iran's not going to cut back, I don't believe, in production, being that they just lifted sanctions. So again, you look at the facts. If oil prices start going up, the rig count starts going back up. So I don't see oil prices going much higher or lower than they are. And again, I'm not an expert in this field, but my guesstimate is $30 to $40 range, give or take in either direction. Bad loans mar Italian lenders. Shares of Unicredit SPA, once Italy's largest bank by capitalization, have declined more than 40% since late October, plunging 6.5% yesterday. Another good reasons for the markets to go up. The banking sectors are in a bear market. Here's another one. You think Italy's bad? They're not alone. Deutsche Bank. Shares have declined 28% this year. They fell 5.4% yesterday. Cash is fleeing China. Now what? Outflows, they're looking now, the World Bank data saying $700 billion in decline in China's foreign currency reserves. You can see where all this is leading. And it doesn't look good. On to some geopolitical news. U.S. General urges caution in Afghan troop drawdown. Oh, let's be cautious. Let's be cautious. Here's another one. This is from, can't get more mainstream than this, NBC. Taliban control of Afghanistan, highest since U.S. invasion. Highest since U.S. invasion. Afghan War Commander nominee says situation is deteriorating. U.S. General caution in Afghan troop drawdown. Let's listen to what President Obama said about the promises of a troop increase. No. He said troops were going to vanish. What this is these are trial balloons getting the people ready, by me reading this, for more troops in Afghanistan. Here, listen.
At the beginning of 2015, we will have approximately 9,800 U.S. service members in different parts of the country, together with our NATO allies and other partners. By the end of 2015, we will have reduced that presence by roughly half, and we'll have consolidated our troops in Kabul and on Bagram Airfield. 1 year later, by the end of 2016, our military will draw down to a normal embassy presence in Kabul.
Ah, yes. By the end of 2016, just an embassy presence. If you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn for sale that I could give you at a bargain basement price. Let me continue. Front page of the toilet paper. More is needed to beat ISIS, military concludes. Oh, yeah, they always got a strategy. Afghanistan, 15 years. Iraq destroyed. Libya destroyed. They always come out with this arrogance. We got a plan, and we're going to shove it to you. Here we go. Pentagon officials have concluded that hundreds more trainers, advisors, and commandos from the United States will be needed to be sent to Iraq and Syria in the coming months as the campaign to isolate the Islamic State intensifies. Oh, we're going to get them. We're going to get them. Yep. The White House believes, military officials have told the White House they believe they have made significant progress in the fight against Islamic State in both Iraq and Syria. But to deal a lasting blow to the extremist Sunni militancy, also known as ISIS, they believe that additional forces will be needed. How many more losing strategies do they have to shove out in front of us? And how can they keep getting away with it? As the murder continues, here we go. Dozens of refugees die in capsizing off Greece. Today's paper. And you know where they're from? Iraq and Afghanistan. What a surprise. You mean they're leaving when their countries are destroyed? Hey, but Obama said, wait a minute, more trainers, advisors, and commandos. That trainers and advisors stuff, you could do with that. command those troops in Iraq and Syria? Hey, wait a minute. This is what the president promised. No boots on the ground. Listen for yourself.
I will not put American boots on the ground in Syria. I will not pursue an open-ended action like Iraq or Afghanistan. I will not pursue a prolonged air campaign like Libya or Kosovo. We will not be sending U.S. troops back into combat in Iraq. As I've said before, these American forces will not have a combat mission. We will not get dragged into another ground war in Iraq.
So what? There are boots on the ground. Oh, in that short airstrike, he was bragging at his State of the Union address that over 10,000 strikes already, and they just keep going on. Yeah, and what else did he say? We won't be sending U.S. troops back into Iraq. Well, I'll just lie about it and say it was a misstep. No, I misspoke. That's it. The president misspoke, and it ended up in a misdeed. Whew, Madon. But don't worry about it. I watched some of that presidential debate last night. It was tough. I couldn't watch the whole thing. Listen to these guys repeating these campaign lines. Vote for one of them. That's right. They have strategies and plans to melt ISIS around the world. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.
Today's Trends in the News.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Wednesday, October 19th, 2016. And here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, from Asia to the USA, everything is up. Except Hang Seng hung a little lower. Everything's not up a lot, but oil is. Woof! Oil had a nice big jump. Matter of fact, it's now at July 2015 highs. That's right. Well, how come? Well, U.S. commercial crude inventories fell by 5.2 million barrels. The Energy Information Administration reported, however, analysts polled by Reuters had expected the EIA to report a crude build of 2.7 million barrels. However, a surprisingly large build of 2.5 million barrels in gasoline stocks that contrasted with analysts' expectations for a 1.3 million drop. So, one was off, the other was on. There's no reason for this, but you know the reason. Of course you know the reason. Also supporting oil is Saudi Energy Minister Khalid al-Falil said Wednesday that oil markets were at the end of a considerable downturn as fundamentals were improving and supply and demand were rebalancing, and they're all looking forward to that OPEC meeting on November 30th. So here we are, as we've been saying now for how long? A year. The range is between, we said 35 to around 60, now around 40 to 60 dollars a barrel. So, there you have it. And again, all they're doing is they're cutting back in November about 700,000 barrels per day, and you have an excess of 1.5 to 2 million barrels a day. So, gold went up. How come? Well, gold rises above key technical level amid Fed rate hike uncertainty. Now they're saying, this is one fellow, since Fed Chair Janet Yellen's speech last Friday, there is growing view, which I think is right, the right view, that the Fed is going to move very slowly. The market has discounted a December rate hike, said Bill O'Neill, co-founder of Logic Advisors. Fed fund futures imply a 65% probability for a rate hike in December, that's down from 70. So, what will happen? Here's what will happen, maybe, because it's in your trend alert. Trend alert. Yep. Are they going to raise rates? Well, there's a restaurant recession going on. Is it because there's an oversupply of outlets? Or is it an economic omen? Read your trend alert, history before it happened. What we put together, I haven't seen anywhere else. Again, we try to give you the best bang for your buck. And so please tell your friends, extend your subscriptions, and keep the truth in trends flowing. Because what we've also been talking about, on and on and on and on and on, is China boomtown, China buying up the world. And what was one of our top trends for 2016? Self-sustaining economies. Front page story of the Wall Street Journal. China's factories shop at home. Rising manufacturing skills mean they now purchase less materials overseas, altering global trade. China, along the world's factory floor, is taking control of a bigger portion of the world's supply chain as well, causing a shift in global trade patterns by buying from less abroad. And you go through this story, the data is astounding. Exports to China, which had risen nearly every year since 1990, fell 14% last year, the largest annual drop, you ready, since 1960s. They're down another 9.2% this year through September. The story goes on and on to show that China is doing more of its business at home and less overseas. They're becoming more and more a self-sustaining economy. The proportion of foreign-made imports and Chinese exports has been shrinking by an average 1.6 percentage points a year over the past decade, and last year fell to 19.6% from more than 40% in the mid-1960s. Again, the business of America is war. The business of China is business. Starwood Capital sells stake in $2 billion hotel portfolio to China Life Insurance. That's right. Quote, "We're honored to have been given the opportunity to serve as stewards of China's life capital and thrilled to embark on a partnership that represents the first of its kind relationship for our firm," said Barry Sternlick, CEO of Starwood. With this select service hotel portfolio, China Life has an efficient vehicle for investing in the United States economy as a whole. Isn't that great, huh? Because it's not only in China, it's in the United States China's investing. Australians weary over Beijing's hunt for assets. Big story in today's Financial Times. Yes, yes. Buying up everywhere. Australian developer Perth and Brisbane face housing slumps. Of course, a lot of these areas were built upon natural resources being exported to China. And by the way, China's buying up a lot of Australia as well, particularly in Sydney. There's a housing rush going on over there. Perth has become a one-trick pony, and of course that's finished, and we are struggling, said Nigel Sattlery, an Australian property developer. So, you can see where the trends are leading, and they're not leading to a lot of growth in America. It's stagnant. As a matter of fact, to see how bad it's gotten here in the States, Hey, you remember Obama's signature thing that he did, other than the wars that he started in Libya and Syria and expanding throughout Africa, is Obamacare. Oh, I don't care. And again, it's not socialized medicine. It's the merger of state and corporate powers where we, the little people, have to buy our insurance from private insurance companies. Fascism, Mussolini called it, the merger of state and corporate powers. This is an idea how some of the increases in, I love this name, of course, it's the Affordable Health Care Act. It's not so affordable anymore. You ready for this? In states including Arizona, Illinois, Montana, Alabama, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee, the approved rate increases in the market leader top 50%. In New Mexico, Blue Cross Blue Shield, 93% increases. Yep, 30% increases and more in Alabama, Delaware, Hawaii, Kansas, Mississippi. Isn't that great? Yep. Dominant insurers in Connecticut, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, and Oregon have been allowed to raise premiums by 20%. Now, let's go back to your trend alert. Why is there a restaurant recession? Couldn't be healthcare costs? No. Couldn't be rising rent costs? No. It couldn't be because of lousy wages? No. And it couldn't be because of Obamacare? No. And speaking about how bad things are from the top to the bottom, Burberry shares in trenches as broker downgrades ratings. Again, it's rotting from the top down. Yep, Burberry shares fell more than 7% yesterday. An important story, we've been writing about it in the Trends Journal. We're going to be doing more and more about it in technology. Blockchain. Lenders to use blockchain database for Hong Kong mortgages. Bank of China and HSBC are among a group of lenders aiming to launch mortgage-backed services in Hong Kong using blockchain, the decentralized database technology behind the digital currency Bitcoin. Now, blockchain can be used to create a decentralized network of banks and surveyors through which the latest valuations can be listed, verified, and shared in a matter of seconds. This article goes on. We're going to keep you up to date on all the technological trends breaking so that not only you could see them coming, but profit from them. And to show you about the trepidation in the market, why it's still volatile, although it's pretty flat. Cash pile at highest level in 15 years. Investors skeptical of valuations on stocks and bonds pumped up their cash holdings to a level that ties the highest in nearly 15 years. Respondents cited the potential disintegration of the European Union, the possibility of a crash in bond market, and the U.S. presidential elections as top concerns in the global market. And of course, tonight, the final, not debate, they call it that, freak show of the presidential reality show. So we'll all be tuned into that and talking about tomorrow. And moving on to some international news, tensions flare up among allies in Mosul. Ah, yes, another costly losing war promoted by the media as we're going to get rid of ISIS and the thing is falling apart already. It will accomplish nothing other than murdering more people in a country that did nothing to America, posed no threat, a war based on lies that continues and no one really cares about it. Oh, 2 American soldiers were killed in Afghanistan. No, it must be a mistake. There are no boots on the ground over there, and Obama had promised to get them out of there anyway, so that must be a misprint. And talking about the election. Millennials aren't fired up. Presidential race spurs less interest than the last two campaigns, a worry for the Clinton team. A new Wall Street Journal NBC poll showed only 54% of the voters under the age of 35 rated themselves highly interested. Remember, 54%, that's down from 60% in 2012, and that was a lousy election, dull and boring, with Mittens Romney and Obama, and well below the 72% of voters in the full electorate. And in a new NBC Wall Street Journal poll, Ms. Clinton led Mr. Trump among 18 to 29-year-olds likely to vote by 13 percentage points, but that's narrower than Mr. Obama's 23-point margin over Mittens Romney. And Trump, complaining that they're not giving him fair coverage. You know, they bombed the Orange County Republican Party headquarters in North Carolina. He's right. That would have been huge news if it was a Democratic one. Hey, look what happened to Tricky Dick Nixon when he went into that Democratic headquarters. Huh? They bombed the joint. It made the front page of the Wall Street Journal. One day in and out. You had to go to page A13 of the toilet paper of record, and we've been doing for a while, showing all the negative Trump stories and no negative Clinton stories on the front page. This was not worthy of front page. The picture is so small down at the bottom, you look at it, you don't even know what it is. Prostitutes, one after another. As voters tune out, low turnout is likely. Well, and that's the news. The presidential reality show tonight, will less voters turn out? Maybe not. We'll see. And what a show this is going to be tonight. Probably one of the most watched debates in the history